Hello and welcome to this video. So in this video we're going to be creating a Python game called Guess Number. There's several ways we can do this. The way we're going to go with is we actually guess against the computer. So the computer identifies the number and we have to guess what that value is. There is another way where we can create the number and the computer guesses, but we'll look at that again later. But for now we're going to just keep it simple, introduce you to Python and get you actually creating something. So we're going to be using something called Google Collab, and the reason for that is because it's free, it's on the internet and you can use it at home. So whatever you create here you can actually create at home. So first thing what we need to do is we actually need to open up the Google Collab search. So all I've done is typed in Google Collab just like this, and then we're going to go for the first one. Now chances are it's going to pop up stuff that I've already done, so if we click on it it's going to bring up stuff I've already done, which is fine. Yours might be empty, and we're going to go new notebook. Again, you might have to sign in with this with Google, but I'm pretty sure you can do it without. And we're going to go new notebook just like that, and it will open up a brand new notebook for us just like this. So when we actually start programming with Google Colab, we can actually have separate sections. So in here we can type something like, for example, I'm going to just put import random, which is something we're going to need. I'm going to put import random, I'm going to click play, and that will just make it actually like run, so it will run the whole thing, and it's just running this little section here. It'll tell you up here like what your RAM is, what your disk is, and then we've done with that, so we need to add a new one. So we add a new one by doing here, add code. Now it is perfectly possible to actually just keep everything within the same thing, but me being me, I like to keep all my imports separate from my actual coding, so I tend to do it this way, but again you can do it all in the same one. So this import random, so this is basically importing a random number. So we're saying that we need to use a library called random, and we just want to import it, so we want to add it, okay? So if you hover over it, it'll actually tell you what it is. So this module random, it's a library. It works with integers and it works with sequences. It picks a random element, it picks a random number, and basically we're going to guess what that random number is. So once we've imported random, okay, we need to start creating some variables. So the first variable we need to create is called number, and this is the number that the actual program is going to use, and we're going to have to create a range. So the way we create a range, because obviously we're going to ask the computer to pick a number between say 1 and 50, that is a range of numbers, so we're not telling it specifically what to pick, we're saying pick a random number between 1 and 50. So the way we do that is number equals, and then we use the random that we've just brought in, and we want to do a rand range, so rand range. And then we need to import the range. So I'm going to go between 1 and 50, but you can literally make that number whatever you want, okay? And then the next thing we need to include is what the guess is. So we need to store our guess so that we can compare it against the actual number. And the way we do that is we're going to call it guess. I'm going to say that this is equal to the data type int, and I actually want the user's input. So I want whatever the user inputs. So if I just put that in and I literally put another bracket in and ask the user to input a value, so I'm going to ask the user to guess a number between, and I'm going to put 1 and 50, and the reason for that is because we've actually set our range between 1 and 50, and then I'm going to put a colon and a space. If you don't put a colon and a space, when it actually displays the user's guess, it will literally go 50 and then the user's guess next to it without a space or without anything. So we need to make sure that we actually include that. So if I was to run this and just test it, if I run it, I get guess a number between 1 and 50, and it allows me to input a number. So I'm just going to put 45 in there, and then it'll do nothing with it because we've not told it to do anything. All we've done so far is said that we want the user to input a number between 1 and 50, and it's done that for us. So the next bit is we actually have to start looking at comparing the guess with the number. So we're going to use that with a while loop. So we're going to say while the guess does not equal the number, and that should be very familiar to you, that does not. So again, that is not, and then equal to number, and then we're going to do is colon. Then we're going to basically at the end of this print. Actually no, let's go back a step. Let's do it bit by bit. So while guess does not equal to number. And then we're going to nest in an if statement. So that we're going to put, because we've got two options. The guess can actually be the number, or it could be higher than the number, or it could be lower than the number. So we need to split that into several branches. So we're going to say that if the guess is bigger than the number that we put forward, colon, we are going to say, or ask the computer to print out that the guess is too high, or the guess is too low, sorry. So you need to guess higher. And that will prompt the user and tell them that they're going too high, or they're going too low, they need to guess higher. So then we need to give them the option of guessing again. So we have to put in this comment at the top here, this section, and we copy it and we paste it just underneath the print like this. Okay, so if we run this, guess a number between 1 and 50. If I go 45, obviously it wasn't too high, it needed to be lower. So you can see how we're kind of building things up. Now with an if statement, there is always a second option. We're going to have to press stop on there because it's going to keep running and running. Yeah, I know, because we haven't finished as else. So if we go here and finish our else statement, so we need to give it a second branch. So if the guess is not higher than the number, it's obviously going to be lower. So we're going to say print, you need to guess lower. Just like that. Okay. Then what we're going to do next is we are going to do the same thing, and we are just going to copy this section here and paste that there. Obviously get rid of your indent. There is one thing I just want to make difference. With here, I want this to be on a new line. So the way I do that is I put my slash and my n, just like that. And that is saying put this statement on a new line. So if I do that and that, there we go. Now, if none of those are true and our while loop is actually false, then we've actually guessed the number. So we're going to do print, you guessed the number. Just like that. So let's just run it and see what happens. So guess a number between 1 and 50. I'm going to go smack in the middle and go 25. I need to guess higher. Right, let's go 30. Need to guess higher. Let's try 40. Guess lower. Let's try 45. Lower 43. 42. 41. 40. Oh wait, hang on, I know where I've gone right. I guessed lower and I'm guessing higher. That'd be why. So 30, let's go 35. Could have probably done all in less than this. 34, 33. Let's scroll down. Guess the number, it was 33. Woohoo! Now, this is very, very simple. Okay, so I'm just going to go through it first. So we've imported random. We've said that we want a random integer to appear, and we want to set that random integer to have a range of 1 to 50. Now, excuse me, we could obviously change this to make it harder or easier. Then we want to import, or not importing, store the number of guesses. Okay, so here it said that the number is 33. Now here it says 33. Now we don't actually know that that number is 33 until we actually start running it. So we say that the integer is going to be an integer, and we want guess to store what the user inputs, and it will keep updating that, because here when we after each time we've guessed, it will re-update it and ask for that input to be updated. So we've said that while the guess, have I spelled guess right? It just looks really wrong. Anyway, while the guess is not equal to the number, so not equal to the random number that is picked by the computer, it's going to go into this nested if statement. So it's going to check. So if this is true, okay, and it's not equal to the number, it's going to go into here and say, is the guess that the user's entered smaller than the number. If it's true, if that is true, it's going to go into this section and print you need to guess higher. And then it's going to give the user the option to actually guess again. If this statement here is false, then the only other option could be is that you actually need to guess lower, because the number you've entered is higher than the actual number that the computer has picked. So if that's the case and this becomes false, then we need to print you need to guess lower, and again it'll give the user the option. If none of these are true, okay, and this is not true, it will actually print this. So it will just go, you know what, you've got the number, yay, kind of thing. And then you can have unlimited answers, unlimited guesses. Now, it is possible to make this harder. You can limit the guesses. You can actually limit the number of guesses a person is allowed. So, for example, you could set it to the person has to guess the number in 5 goes. Okay. You can change the range. So the range can be from 1 to 100 or 1 to 1,000 to make it harder. Obviously, if you do change the range, don't forget to change here. Tell the person how many guesses they actually, well, what the number range is. You could also display to the user the number of guesses they are allowed. So, for example, if you say guesses allowed is 5, each time they have a guess, you could put underneath here, so we got guess here, you could put number of guesses, or if we could just do number of guesses equals, and it would be guess -1. And you would then display print number of guesses, as in like that, and but it won't run if I run it, and that's because I've got nothing to say what the guess is. But this is basically saying that each time the user has a guess, so you'd have to do that under here too. Each time the user has a guess, it's actually going to take 1 off the number of guesses that it's allowed. And then you diminish that until it equals like 0 guesses left, and then you would just say game lost, do you want to play again? So this is very, very simple, and there is a load of ways you could take this. So for now, we're going to leave this here. I would personally go through and make comments as you go through. So in Python, I'm not 100% sure it is in Collab. I think it's still the same. So it's hashtag. And basically, like, this is the variables, and then I'd go underneath, like, number is the computer generated value, and then underneath this one, I would go guesses equals the number inputted by the user, and then I would explain the while loop. Now, I have explained the while loop in words, so you can go back and have a look. And make sure you actually do put your comments in. It will help you in the future, trust me. If you want to save this, it automatically saves everything. The one thing I would recommend is renaming. So up here, if you just click on it, you can just change it to number guessing game, just like that. And then click off it, and it will just save it automatically. Okay. Right, that's it. Have a go, make sure you put your comments in, try and make it harder. So have a go at doing things like limiting the number of guesses, so like we had like 50,000 guesses, not literally, but you know, and try and make it so that the user has to limit the number of guesses, so maybe 5 guesses, or you could even ask them to choose, like, do you want to play again at the end, which is an option you could add in. Have fun with it, don't be scared to get things wrong, it's fine, we can always fix these things, and I'll see you in the next one.